In the face of adversity, humanity has always shown remarkable resilience. When threatened, we fight back with courage and ingenuity. In victory, we show restraint and compassion. And in the vastness of space, these traits would prove vital for the survival and ascendance of the human race. The year was 2257 AD when the course of human history changed forever. Earth's most powerful radio telescopes detected an anomalous signal originating from the Alpha Centauri system. The message was brief but profound. You are not alone. Months passed as the global scientific community worked feverishly to decipher the transmission. Finally, a breakthrough came. The signal was an invitation for a diplomatic summit between humanity and an extraterrestrial intelligence known as the Varan Consortium. World leaders convened in haste, debating the implications and risks of engaging with an alien power, but curiosity and the promise of unimaginable technological advances won out over caution. A reply was sent, and a meeting was arranged. The Varan arrived in a sleek, silvery craft that dwarfed the largest human-made structures, hovering over the United Nations headquarters in New York City. The vessel's presence sent shockwaves of awe and terror across the globe. A delegation of alien diplomats emerged, their ethereal forms shimmering under the sun. In a historic address to the UN General Assembly, the Varan ambassador, Torvalds, extended a cautionary message. "People of Earth," he began, his melodic voice echoing through the chamber, "we come in peace but also with a warning. Your world stands on the precipice of a great galactic conflict." Tor went on to reveal that Earth was precariously situated along the Alastair Line, a contentious border region between the Varan Consortium and their bitter rivals, the dogmatic and relentless Chiron Collective. For millennia, the two superpowers had maintained a delicate balance of power, but the discovery of humanity had upset that equilibrium. "The Chiron are a race of singular purpose," Tor explained. "They seek to dominate all life in the galaxy under their twisted ideology. To them, you are a potential threat, a wild card that must either submit or be destroyed." As an emergent spacefaring civilization, the ambassador continued, humanity faced a choice. The Varan hoped to sway us to their side before the Chiron took notice. An alliance with the consortium would grant Earth access to advanced technologies and a place in the galactic community. The alternative was to stand alone against the coming storm. The revelation of humanity's cosmic neighbors sparked global upheaval. Some saw the Varan's offer as a path to utopia, a shortcut to the stars. Others viewed it as a devil's bargain, warning that aligning with any alien power would compromise Earth's sovereignty. As the nations of Earth debated and argued over how to respond, the Varan delegation shuttled world leaders to their orbiting mothership for tours and cultural exchanges. Aboard the alien craft, humans marveled at the wonders of Varan engineering. Gleaming halls lined with holographic displays, zero-gravity gardens teeming with exotic flora, and windows that looked out upon the vast expanse of the cosmos. In private meetings, Tor and his fellow diplomats shared tales of the Varan's own turbulent history, of a world ravaged by war and environmental collapse, and of the hard-won peace that followed. They spoke of the great works undertaken by the consortium, of planets transformed into paradises and species uplifted to sapience. Yet, despite the Varan's treaties, many human leaders remained skeptical. The alien technology was enticing, but at what cost? Would accepting the consortium's aid be trading one master for another? As the summit entered its second week, tensions on Earth reached a boiling point. Protests erupted in major cities, with millions taking to the streets to voice their support or opposition to the proposed alliance. In the halls of power, backroom deals and political maneuvering threatened to tear the fragile global consensus apart. It was then, at the moment of humanity's greatest internal strife, that the Chiron Collective struck. In a devastating show of force, the Chiron launched simultaneous attacks across Earth's major population centers. Swarms of alien drones darkened the skies, while their shock troops stormed capitals and razed cultural landmarks. The Great Pyramids of Giza crumbled under plasma bombardment. The Eiffel Tower melted like a candle in the heat of Chiron weaponry. Millions perished in the opening salvo alone. Overwhelmed and outmatched, Earth's defenses crumbled, governments collapsed, and cities burned. In the chaos, the Varan delegation could only watch in horror, their worst fears realized. The consortium fleet, hopelessly out of position, would not arrive in time to prevent the slaughter. And then, as quickly as they had arrived, the Chiron withdrew, but not before delivering a final chilling message. Submit or perish. In the aftermath, over 1 billion humans lay dead. Those who survived were united in grief, rage, and a grim determination never to be victims again. The Galactic Council, an ancient body tasked with maintaining peace among the stars, denounced the attack as a crime against sapience, but their condemnation rang hollow to the survivors on Earth. No amount of thoughts and prayers could bring back the lost. As the dust settled and humanity began to rebuild, a glimmer of hope emerged from the ruins. In the final moments of the invasion, a Terran defense squadron had managed to disable and capture a lone Chiron frigate. The alien ship was a treasure trove of advanced technology, a key to unlocking the secrets of the stars. Scientists and engineers from across the globe were brought together in a secret facility to study the Chiron vessel. Innovations in metallurgy, power generation, and computing were extracted and reverse-engineered. But the most significant breakthrough came from the ship's navigational core. The Chiron, it was discovered, used a form of faster-than-light propulsion that folded the fabric of spacetime, allowing their ships to traverse vast distances in the blink of an eye. Coupled with the fundamental advances already made in fusion power and quantum computing, this alien technology accelerated humanity's development by centuries. Within a decade, the first Terran FTL drive was tested successfully. The stars, once an unreachable frontier, now lay open before us. As Earth's rebuilding continued, a new resolve took hold among the populace. No longer would humanity be content to cower in fear or rely on the protection of others. The nations of the world, united by tragedy and common purpose, cast aside their old rivalries. In their place, a new government arose, one that would speak for all humankind. The Terran Federation was born. Massive shipyards were constructed in Earth orbit and throughout the solar system, churning out a new generation of FTL-capable ships. The moon became a fortress, bristling with defense platforms. Mars and the asteroid belt were mined for resources to fuel the expansion. 100 years after the Chiron invasion, humanity had spread across a dozen star systems. Colonies were established on garden worlds and harsh frontiers alike. The shipyards of Titan became renowned for their output and ingenuity. For the first time in history, humans lived and thrived beyond the confines of their home planet. As the Terran Federation flexed its newfound might, the Galactic Council took notice. Some members, led by the Varan, welcomed humanity's rise as a stabilizing force in a chaotic galaxy. Others, fearful of losing their own power and influence, demanded that the Terran upstarts curb their ambitions. But the Federation would not be cowed. When the Council threatened sanctions and blockades, the Terrans politely but firmly declined to limit their growth. The hard lessons of the past century had been learned. Never again would Earth and its children be left defenseless. And so, as humanity's star rose in the galactic firmament, the stage was set for a new era of exploration, conflict, and discovery. The Terran Age had begun, and the cosmos would be forever changed by the trials we have endured and the heights we have yet to reach. As the Terran Federation continued to expand and flourish, the Chiron collective seethed with resentment. The upstart humans, once dismissed as primitives, had not only survived the collective's assault but were now brazenly challenging Chiron supremacy. In the grand halls of the Chiron capital, the High Council convened to address the growing threat. Thakur, the supreme commander of the collective's military, stood before the assembled leaders, his voice dripping with disdain. "The humans are a cancer," he declared, his eyes glinting with malice. "A disease that spreads unchecked, corrupting all it touches. They seek chaos and disorder wherever they tread, upsetting the natural order of the galaxy." The counselors murmured their assent, nodding in agreement with Thakur's assessment. For generations, the Chiron had ruled through fear and intimidation, securing their position as the galaxy's apex predators. But now a new power had arisen, one that challenged their very way of life. The Federation must be destroyed, Thakur continued, his voice rising with fury. We must burn their worlds, shatter their fleets, and grind their cities to dust. Only then can we restore the collective to its rightful place as the master of all space and time. With a unanimous vote, the High Council authorized the mobilization of the Chiron war machine. Vast fleets were assembled, drawing ships and soldiers from 1,000 conquered worlds. The collective's finest warriors, the feared Kyries and Deathbringers, sharpened their blades and donned their battle armor, eager to taste human blood. As the Chiron armada crossed into Terran space, they found a foe unlike any they had faced before. The humans, masters of innovation and adaptation, had not been idle in the years since their first contact. Terran ships, sleek and nimble, danced around the lumbering Chiron battlecruisers, striking from camouflaged carriers. Swarms of human fighter drones harried the enemy fleet, picking off stragglers and disrupting formations. The collective's advanced sensors, once the bane of their foes, were now confounded by Terran jamming technology and electronic countermeasures. Frustrated but undaunted, the Chiron pressed their attack. They hurled themselves at Terran defenses, determined to break through by sheer force of numbers. Worlds burned as the two sides clashed, the very stars trembling with the fury of their battle. In the Procyon system, the collective found themselves drawn into a cunning trap. The Terran fleet, commanded by the brilliant Admiral Rana Saturn, had lured the Chiron armada into a narrow corridor between two of the system's gas giants. As the enemy ships entered the passage, hidden Terran vessels emerged from the swirling clouds, unleashing a devastating barrage. Electromagnetic mass drivers, the pride of Terran ingenuity, hurled projectiles at near-light speed, tearing through Chiron shields and hulls like tissue paper. The once invincible armada was reduced to a flaming ruin, its crew consumed by the flames of their own hubris. Those Chiron ships that survived the carnage fled back to their own territory, their captains trembling at the thought of reporting their failure to the High Council. Never before had the collective known such a defeat, and the blow to their pride was as painful as the loss of their ships. News of the Procyon victory spread like wildfire throughout the galaxy. On 100 worlds, the downtrodden and oppressed looked to the stars with newfound hope. If the mighty Chiron could be beaten, perhaps their own freedom was not an impossible dream. The first to rally to the Terran cause were the Olin, a race of brilliant scientists and engineers who had long chafed under Chiron rule. In secret, they reached out to the Federation, offering their expertise in exchange for protection and a chance at a new beginning. Terran diplomats, well-versed in the art of building bridges, welcomed the Olin with open arms. The two peoples found common ground in their shared love of knowledge and their determination to forge their own destinies. Olin technology, particularly their advances in artificial intelligence and quantum computing, meshed seamlessly with Terran ingenuity, propelling both races to new heights. As word of the Terran-Olin alliance spread, other subjugated species took notice. The Nim, a gentle race of healers and philosophers, had long suffered under the yoke of the Varan consortium. Though the Varan claimed to be enlightened protectors, the reality was a gilded cage, with the Nim's freedom sacrificed on the altar of stability. In a daring move, the Nim reached out to the Terran, pleading for asylum and a chance to share their wisdom with the galaxy. The Federation, recognizing the value of the Nim's advanced medical technology and the moral authority they could lend to the cause, eagerly accepted. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place with the arrival of the Crate, a warrior race with a proud tradition of honor and martial prowess. Long ago, the Crate had been a major power in their own right, but centuries of war and infighting had left them a shadow of their former glory. When Terran scouts first made contact with the Crate, they found a people hungry for purpose and a chance to reclaim their lost honor. The Federation offered them that chance, a way to fight for something greater than themselves. In return, the Crate brought with them the most advanced weapons technology in the known universe, honed over generations of constant warfare. Together, these four disparate races, human, Olin, Nim, and Crate formed the backbone of a new interstellar alliance, one dedicated to freedom, progress, and mutual defense. They called themselves the Arcturus Accord, named for the bright star around which they had first come together as equals. As the Accord grew in strength and numbers, the established powers took notice. The Chiron, still smarting from their defeat at Procyon, redoubled their efforts to crush the upstart alliance. The Varen, once content to stand on the sidelines, now saw the Accord as a threat to their own hegemony. Skirmishes and proxy battles erupted across the galaxy as the old order clashed with the new. Arcturus ships, armed with Crate weapons and shielded by Olan technology, proved more than a match for their foes. On the ground, Terran Marines and Crate warriors fought side by side, their combined might overwhelming all who stood against them. But even as the Accord racked up victories, they never lost sight of their higher purpose. Terran diplomats worked tirelessly to bring more races into the fold, offering a vision of a galaxy united in common cause. NIM doctors and scientists labored to heal the wounds of war and to find new ways to improve the lives of all sentient beings. And through it all, the bonds between the Accord races grew ever stronger. Terran music and art spread like wildfire through Olan culture, sparking a creative renaissance that lit up the galaxy. NIM philosophy and ethics took root in human universities and houses of government, tempering the Terran drive to expand with a newfound sense of responsibility and stewardship. Crate warriors, once known for their ferocity and bloodlust, found new purpose in defending the innocent and upholding the Accord's ideals of justice and honor. And in the shipyards and factories of a dozen worlds, Terran engineering and Crate craftsmanship combined to produce marvels of technology that would have been unimaginable just a few short years before. As the Arcturus Accord grew in power and influence, the Varen could no longer afford to sit on the sidelines. Though not openly hostile to the Accord, the consortium made it clear that they would not tolerate any challenge to their own authority. Tensions between the two alliances came to a head during a diplomatic summit on the Varen homeworld. Terran ambassadors, backed by their Accord allies, demanded an end to the consortium's meddling in the affairs of other races and a recognition of the Accord's legitimacy as a major power in its own right. The Varen, ever prideful and stubborn, balked at the Terrans' demands. Insults were exchanged, accusations hurled, and the summit devolved into a shouting match that threatened to escalate into open conflict. Only the quick thinking of Olan mediators and the calming presence of NIM counselors prevented the situation from spiraling out of control. But the damage was done. The Varen, feeling betrayed and insulted, withdrew their ambassador from the Terran capital and began to mobilize their own forces. The Chiron, sensing an opportunity to strike at their hated foes, stepped up their raids on Accord territory, probing for weaknesses and testing the alliance's resolve. As the galaxy teetered on the brink of all-out war, the Terran Federation and its allies knew that they faced the fight of their lives, but they also knew that they were not alone. Together, they had forged a new path, one that offered hope and the promise of a better tomorrow for all the peoples of the galaxy. And so, as the storm clouds gathered and the drums of war began to beat, the Arcturus Accord stood ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For in unity there was strength, and in strength there was the power to shape the future. The Chiron Collective made a bold gambit to seize the initiative. Gathering the full might of their armada, they launched a massive assault on the Terran colony of Albrun, a key stronghold of the Arcturus Accord. The Chiron hoped to catch the Terrans off guard, to deliver a fatal blow that would shatter the upstart alliance before it could muster its strength. With Albrun crushed, the collective could turn its attention to the other Accord races, picking them off one by one until the galaxy was once again firmly under Chiron control. As the enemy fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Albrun system, they were met by an eerie sight. Before them, drifting in the void, was a ragtag collection of apparently abandoned Terran warships. The Chiron commander, a grizzled veteran of countless campaigns, felt a twinge of unease at the sight. Something was not right. Cautiously, the Chiron ships approached the derelict vessels, scanning for any sign of life or activity. As they drew closer, the Terran ships suddenly sprang to life, as if awakening from a deep slumber. Across their hulls, hidden compartments snapped open, revealing row upon row of nuclear warheads, primed and ready. Too late, the Chiron realized their mistake. The Terran ships, far from being abandoned, were in fact a carefully laid trap, a sacrificial offering to lure the enemy into range. As the warheads detonated, the very fabric of spacetime seemed to buckle and twist, as if the stars themselves were crying out in pain. Chiron ships vanished in the blink of an eye, consumed by the fury of 1,000 suns. Those that survived the initial blast were hurled violently through space, their hulls buckled and their crews left reeling. In a matter of moments, a third of the mighty Chiron armada had been reduced to atoms scattered across the cosmic winds. But the Terran were not finished yet. As the surviving Chiron ships struggled to regroup, a new threat emerged from the shadows of Albaran's twin moons. The true Terran fleet, which had been lying in wait, powered up its engines and surged forward, weapons blazing. At the heart of the Terran formation was a massive dreadnought, a behemoth of steel and fire that dwarfed even the mightiest Chiron battleship. Along its flanks, swift Olin frigates darted and weaved, their advanced sensors seeking out enemy weaknesses and relaying targeting data to their allies. Crate cruisers, their hulls adorned with the scars of 100 battles, plunged into the fray, their powerful beam weapons carving great swaths of destruction through the Chiron ranks. And in the midst of it all, NIM support vessels flitted between the battling giants, their advanced medical bays and repair facilities working overtime to keep the Accord ships in the fight. Outmatched and outflanked, the Chiron fleet fought with the desperate fury of a cornered beast, but it was all for naught. The Terrans and their allies worked in perfect unison, their movements choreographed by years of training and a shared sense of purpose. One by one, the enemy ships fell, until all that remained was a field of burning wreckage and the fading echoes of Chiron distress calls. But the battle was far from over. Even as the last Chiron ship was reduced to molten slag, a new drama was unfolding on the surface of Albaran itself. Taking advantage of the chaos in orbit, a Chiron invasion force had managed to slip past the Terran defenses and land on the planet. Their objective to seize control of the colony's vital infrastructure and use it as a bargaining chip in any future negotiations. As the Chiron troops fanned out across the planet, they were met by a sight that chilled them to the bone. Falling from the sky like avenging angels were hundreds of Terran drop pods, each one bearing the insignia of the feared Terran Marines. These elite soldiers, equipped with the latest in crate-design power armor and Olin-engineered weapons, hit the ground running. They moved with a speed and precision that seemed almost inhuman, their movements guided by a web of Olin combat AIs and NIM tactical advisors. In the close confines of Albaran cities and underground complexes, the Terrans' superior training and equipment quickly turned the tide. Chiron soldiers, accustomed to the ordered ranks and rigid hierarchies of collective warfare, found themselves outmatched by the Terrans' fluid tactics and lightning-fast decision-making. As the battle raged on, a new threat emerged from the shadows.
Chiron combat engineers,
working under cover of the chaos, had managed to infiltrate one of Albaran's main data hubs, a key node in the planet's defense network. If they could gain control of the hub, they could cripple the Terrans' ability to coordinate their forces and potentially turn the tide of the battle. But the Terran had anticipated this move. As the Chiron engineers prepared to upload their malicious code, they were suddenly cut off from the network, their access terminated by an unseen hand. In a command center deep beneath the surface, a team of Olin and Terran hackers worked furiously to counter the Chiron intrusion. Using advanced AI algorithms and quantum encryption, they waged a silent war in the digital realm, matching wits with their Chiron counterparts in a deadly game of cat and mouse. But the Olin had one final trick up their sleeve. With a few deft keystrokes, they unleashed a devastating computer virus into the Chiron network, a self-replicating worm that spread like wildfire through the collective systems. Across the battlefield, Chiron weapons fell silent, their targeting systems locked up, their firing controls overridden. Chiron ships, once the terror of the galaxy, drifted aimlessly through space, their crews powerless to retake control. And on 100 Chiron worlds, factories and shipyards ground to a halt, their production lines frozen by the Olin virus. In the heart of the Chiron capital, the High Council watched in horror as their empire unraveled before their eyes. Planetary defense grids winked out one by one, leaving their worlds vulnerable to attack. Communications networks collapsed, plunging entire sectors into chaos and confusion. In a final desperate bid to save themselves, the Chiron leadership authorized a full retreat from Albran. But it was too late. As the last Chiron ships fled the system, they found themselves surrounded by a vast Terran armada, summoned from the depths of space by the Olin's quantum entanglement communication network. At the center of the Terran formation was the flagship of Admiral Saturn herself, a sleek, deadly vessel that bore the scars of a dozen campaigns. As the Chiron ships hovered before her, their weapons and engines disabled by the Olin virus, Saturn broadcast a simple message across the void. "Surrender," she said, her voice calm and unwavering. "Surrender, and you will be treated with honor and respect as befits a defeated foe. Resist, and you will be destroyed utterly, your name stricken from the annals of history." Faced with annihilation, the Chiron had no choice but to comply. One by one, their ships powered down their systems and opened their airlocks, allowing Terran Marines to board and take control. As the last Chiron vessel was secured, Admiral Saturn allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The battle had been won, and the collective's invasion thwarted, but she knew that this was only the beginning. The Olin virus, powerful as it was, would not keep the Chiron down forever. Even now, their best minds were surely working on a way to purge the infection and restore their systems. And beyond the Chiron, there were other threats lurking in the darkness of space, waiting for their chance to strike. But for now, at least, the Arcturus Accord could savor its victory. Across the galaxy, news of the Albran campaign spread like wildfire, inspiring hope in the hearts of those who had long suffered under the yoke of oppression. On the streets of 100 worlds, people took to the streets in celebration, waving the flags of the Accord races and chanting the names of their heroes. In the halls of power, diplomats and politicians marveled at the strength and unity of the alliance and whispered of a new dawn for the galaxy. And on the bridge of her flagship, Admiral Saturn looked out at the stars, her eyes filled with the light of 1,000 suns. She knew that the road ahead would be long and hard, that there would be challenges and sacrifices yet to come. But she also knew that the Arcturus Accord would face those challenges together, united by a common purpose and an unshakable bond of friendship and trust. For in the end, it was not the strength of their ships or the power of their weapons that had brought them this far. It was the strength of their spirit, the power of their dreams, and the unbreakable will of a galaxy that refused to be ruled by fear and darkness any longer. And as long as that spirit endured, there was no force in the universe that could stand against them.